Motivators Table Podcast. Yes, we're back. We are live on YouTube and live on LinkedIn. And make sure you share this link with your family and friends, motivators. We back with another hot one right here. But let me tell you, thank you to the Los Angeles Tribune for giving me the opportunity to give just to operate in my gift and activate it and share with the world. Thank you for the Riverside platform for allowing me to do this. And thank you to everybody that's supported me. And today, we have a huge, huge guest. And I want you guys to put your hands and your feet together for Mr. Patrick. How you doing, sir?
Hey, how are you?
I'm good, brother. What's going on, man? How you been? How you been?
Man, living quiet.
I love it. I love it, brother. Let's get right into it. Let's get right into it. Tell the world who you are and where you from.
Yeah, so I'm from. My name is Patrick Murphy, and I'm from grew up in California and live in Florida now.
You from
Beautiful
California.
sunny state.
You from our state, our city. You from San Francisco, right? Oakland.
Yep.
Oakland. Okay, I'm from Long Beach, California, born and raised.
Yeah,
So,
man.
a fellow Californian. Thank you. I appreciate you. How long you
Yeah,
been
I
in Florida?
appreciate you. Actually, about 4 years, going on 4 years now.
Okay, what brought you to Florida?
My wife wanted to move here.
Eh,
we it was her birthday. It was her birthday, and we flew out to Miami for her birthday to go visit. And while we was there, she said, "Oh, I just love it here." And I said, "Well," she said, "I would love to move here." I said, "Say less." And so I called up a realtor, and the following year we was here.
Man, come on, man. You called up a realtor. And you just there it is.
Make
That's
it
that.
happen.
You got the life. God is so good. I love that for you guys. I love that. I love that. So let's dive real quick, deep dive into this. Um, who was Patrick as a child?
Patrick, as a child, grew up with four brothers and four sisters, same parents, and that's 11 people living in a three-bedroom home. Um, Out of all nine of the children, I was the one who caused the most problems, and I'm the one who got the most whoopings. I was always the rambunctious one, always the one, guess what, talking too much. So, I used to always get in trouble. And so that's who I was as a child, but it was a loving home. It was really cool. And so that's me from childhood.
Okay, and as a child, like how was your characteristics and your mannerisms?
Like I said, just rambunctious. Curious is also another thing I would say. I was a person who would get toys and things like that, and I'd be the person who would take them apart just to see how they worked.
Right.
And also, when I was in school, I was sung in the choir and all these different things. So I had a gift of singing, which I could have went far if I wasn't acting so silly. Later on, I found out, but I was just always a talker. Also, when I was in high school, I was also one of the most popular people in my high school at the time because everybody knew me for my laugh and always joking and everything else. So for me, talking and entertaining was just organic to me. I don't know why it was like that, but that was just who I was.
I like that. I like you had a good personality. I met a lot of people like that in high school that was just organically funny, talking. They lived in their aura, they lived in their spirit, and definitely that's who you are. When I met you the other day, and I feel like I met you, I've known you for a long time. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
you're so welcoming. So I appreciate you. Thank you for hopping on the motivators table. Can you tell the
Oh,
world
thank you.
what do you do?
So I'm a software designer. So I design software, but what my passion is that I was a grief coach for a very long time, for many years. And I specialize in dealing with people who were either going through a divorce or coming out of a divorce.
Mm,
That's one of the most devastating things next to death. So when we talk about grief coaching, I know a lot of people are considering, well, going through grief and, in the standard ways, but nobody really thinks of it in the fact that when you're going through a relationship breakup or a divorce, that is almost as devastating as a death. In fact, if you want me to be honest, it's actually even more devastating because the person who you're grieving at a funeral, when the funeral's over, there's amount of time of grieving, you miss the person, and then you move on. But in this situation, the person hasn't passed away, and sometimes you still have to look at them And so the continuous grief carries much longer, in my opinion, than a person who lost a person to a death.
I love the fact how you explain that, and I think it's definitely needed because divorce is hard. I've never been married. I'm scared as hell of divorce. I saw a lot of people in the military, and what happened, the consequences. I saw that the attacks, and I'm just talking from my point of view. You know, we would
Yeah,
deploy to Iraq and Afghanistan, and that's when we would get hit the most, not only from the enemy but from our homes. You know, I saw grown men crying because they couldn't get back home because their family left them, left a note in the microwave. I seen grown men come back and take their own lives because the wives they was with for 15, 20 years stepped out or left them or divorced or took all the kids. And you know, it was crazy. So that scared the big Jesus out of me. I'm
yeah,
44 right now and I still haven't been married because I could get through the marriage, but the divorce would probably put me back in the hospital. I've been hospitalized for 3 or 4 times, so that would mess me up a lot. But at the end of the day, I'm happy the world has a coach like you. So can we get into that first of all? Let's talk.
absolutely. Please,
Let's talk
please,
about
love
it.
to.
How you was as in high school? Like, where did you develop that type of skill set in high school?
No, actually, like I said, when I was in high school, I was just a show off, just always joking. Um, I was more into entertaining people than I was into my education, to be honest with you. So that's why I stayed in trouble so often. Um, However, this that I do, it was because I was married the first time for over 2 decades, and the marriage was running fine for a while, and then all of a sudden there was a situation where I used to be, and I'm not sure if you see me on the other podcast, but I used to be a multimillionaire, had plenty of money, things was going well. I was on radio shows, TV shows. Spoke at different events all the time, and so that was my world. I was enjoying it, but life happens, and I call it my Job experience because when a market had crashed, the real estate market crashed, I lost everything, and then the wife who I was married to the first time, she just disappeared, and up and left. And so, she came back, and then the second time she left again. And so at that point, I ended up filing for divorce because I couldn't live that way, not knowing whether she was going to come or go. And to this day, to which I still don't have an answer. And I choose not to ask anymore. I'm okay. She's happy. I'm happy. But that devastating experience of had left a hole in me. And when you've been a husband for over 20 something years, and that's your identity, who are you now? And so when
Mm,
that was over, I had to, I really, I began to research and to really study and create my own curriculum. Doc, here's where it really started. That devastation caused me to really research and do my own study into why relationships fall apart. And you can go to college, you can get degrees in many things, but there's not going to be a degree in figuring out why relationships fall apart and
mm,
why are there so many divorces. Nobody does that. Just a real deep dive study. Everybody knows divorces are happening. In fact, it's at a critical state all over the globe, but especially here in the United States. Families are falling apart. There's barely any original marriages now. Most people are in second or third marriages. That's quite common. To say that you were still in your same first marriage, that's something we talk about when we're talking about our parents, not nowadays. And so nobody's really digging in to find out why is this crisis happening, and it's destroying families all over the globe. I mean,
mm.
for an example, Doc, listen to what you just said. You're impacted because of what you saw. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay, so if this is going on, why isn't it more research being done into how we can prevent this? So I ended up studying that. One of the best things that happened to me after my studies, there was a large church in Texas where I lived for a while, um, and it was called One Community Church. Shout out to them. And so I joined that ministry, and they had a ministry called Divorce and Recovery Ministry. One of the only churches I ever known to even have something like that. And so I joined the ministry, and it was one of the best things I could have ever done because it took my research to a whole different level. Um, I began to work with leaders in the church, but also with people who were going through divorce. And it was open, it was after church hours, so it was open to the public. So therefore anybody could come. And so what that did, by me being able to speak on stage and, do provide training, and coaching to people who were going through it, I was able to see not only, and here's a key surprising fact, I was able to see not only people who we call quote unquote people who are non-churched, but we also dealt with people who were from church.
Right.
And the challenge was they were both the same.
Mm,
Isn't that amazing?
that's
You would
crazy.
think that because I'm a believer, that our marriage should last longer than normal,
Right.
but that wasn't the case. So
Right.
that fascinated me even more.
Right. You do see a lot of broken homes. I grew up in a church, and a lot of moms, no uncles, no auntie, no dads, and a lot of women in the church. And the very few you probably the ones that you know of is probably was the preacher and his wife, maybe the assistant pastor and one deacon. Everybody else was, yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
my point. And here's the funny fact about that. The Bible clearly says God hates divorce. So if he hates divorce, why is it running so rampant all over, all over, all over the place?
mm,
I can say this, and I wanted to throw this in early. I did get remarried, and I've been happily married, and we're going on 13 years of being married. Valentine's Day will be, our anniversary. Excuse me, I apologize. Valentine's Day is our anniversary, so we've been married for going on 13 years, 12 going on 13 years. Um, and I will say that when I met the person who you met the other day, Nancy, um, I was still a bit broken, but I got married anyway because all I know is to be a husband. And as I was working through me and my issues, to be honest with you, I was still getting into. I got into this marriage with her, but truth be told, in my mind, my tolerance level, and this is very key, brother, my tolerance level in a second marriage was very low.
mm,
And this is very common among relationships. This is why people can get into a second, third, or fourth marriage. Because after you've went through the divorce the first go round, you already know the procedure. You pretty much know if you got to go back to court, you know the judge. Or in my case, I already knew what judge I was going to be in front of. I knew what
mm,
court I was going to be in front of. I don't need to hire a lawyer because I already hired that mouthpiece last time, heard everything they said. So I know how to represent myself. So the second go round, I can represent myself and save the money. So you see how my head was already set
right,
for another failure.
right,
I wasn't truly engaged like I should have. So part of my studies into relationships helped me to heal this one.
mm,
Is this making sense? So here's the cool part. Nancy and I, was sharing this with you the other day. Nancy and I, we haven't had an argument in over 8 years.
mm.
Isn't that beautiful?
That's so beautiful. Yes, definitely. I love that. When you said that, I was like, that's uncommon. I'll be trying to go a year without arguing. You said
Yeah.
8 years. I'll be like, please, Lord, not today, not today.
Yeah. No, no, no. And this is why I'm ready to come out per se of my, because I haven't done the show podcast. I haven't spoken on radio, been on television or anything in many years. I just took a sabbatical, didn't think I had much to say. But truth be told, the more people ask and say, how are you guys doing that? 8 years without an argument? How? And I began to realize I took for granted what's normal for us is completely abnormal to the public. And
Mm,
I just thought it would be nice to go out and share our secrets to the world so that we can begin to help other people enjoy their marriage instead of always hearing this common statement. And Doc, I know you probably heard this all the time. We are quote unquote fighting for our marriage. Have you heard that?
always, always. People say that all the time.
Exactly.
It's very common when they say it too. Yeah,
And Doc, here's the point. I tell people that's your problem.
you fighting.
You stop fighting for your marriage. Me and Nancy, we haven't had to do that in a long time. The moment we stopped, quote unquote, fighting for our marriage, and we actually just adopted two simple Bible principles to heal our relationship, everything else went away. So you can also hear, Doc, all the time, you hear couples say, oh, well, we're working on our quote unquote issues. Have you
Mm,
heard that before?
Yes, I heard that. Yes, definitely.
Big mistake. And this is why I want to share this message with the world, because these statements are so common, and and the entire globe has bought these ideas,
Yeah.
and and we're wondering why we're still getting divorced. We're wondering why we're breaking up.
They
You can
promote
Some
it.
people can't even make it to the marriage court. You're broken up before you even get there. And for those who did, majority of them are going through divorce.
Right.
May I share a story with you?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Come on, we talking about
Okay.
it. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
definitely. Yeah.
I'll never forget. I was invited to speak in Dallas at an entrepreneurs convention in Dallas. This was years ago. And they wanted me to be the keynote speaker because I've done business in different variations before. And so they called me in and they asked me to come in and speak, to a room full of entrepreneurs. So when I went into the room and I started talking to these entrepreneurs before the actual, thing began, they were piling in and coming in, and I just was walking the room and just talking to them. Hey, what do you do? What are you working on? And they would tell me, hey, I'm working on this business, I'm working on this business, and this business, and so forth. And so they were all getting pumped and excited to see, okay, what magical words is he going to give? You
Right.
know. So when I actually began to actually speak, because it was time to speak, they were waiting for me to give them clues on what it takes to be successful.
Mm,
And Doc, I gave them none of that.
mm. What you give them?
I'm glad you asked. I asked them one question: what are you doing this business for? And they say, we're doing it for our families. I said, let me give you some statistics on entrepreneurs. I said, did you guys know, and this was years ago, so the studies may be different, but I doubt it. I said, do you know that entrepreneurs has the highest rate of divorce among all divorcees?
Mm,
And they said, what? I said, yeah, you didn't know that, did you? And so I went into training them on how, yes, you can try to work on a business, you can try to work on whatever dream or passion you have, even if you're just a 9 to 5 person, doesn't matter. But I'm shared with them the impact that you can never lose sight of making your homework just as well as you're making your business work.
mm.
Think about it. You have Jeff Bezos, one of the richest people in the world. Did he not get divorced?
Yes.
Elon Musk, didn't he go through? I think he's been divorced. Your president,
Yeah. Not mine, yours.
yeah, yeah, whoever's. But you get my point. It
Yeah.
runs. It runs from poor to rich. Nobody evades this world of divorce,
Uh,
and nobody's doing anything about it.
right, right.
And this is why I'm here. I want to share some new idea to help people to say, maybe if I looked at things differently. And in fact, Doc, if we ever get back to the original purpose of marriage and what God actually established, then
Mm.
maybe we won't have to go through all of this in the first place.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the original idea of marriage. That's what I brought you on. Motivators, check it out. If you guys don't know, get your highlighters and your pens ready. He's dropping knowledge. He's dropping keys. He's dropping clues. Pick them up, especially for the ones that are married, especially the ones that are not. This is for everybody. This is why we bring. Where do the motivators go get motivated? They come right here to the table to drop the knowledge. So let's drop it.
So, by the way, if you're a person who's out there and you're going through a trying to go to counseling, before you do that, please hear everything I got to say. There was a person who reached out to me and they were discussing, trying to find out if I was local, which I wasn't. So they was looking for somebody local, which is fine. But I shared with them, I said, before you go to your counseling, I said, don't waste your money. I said, don't waste your money. In fact, when couples call me, I don't want to be bothered. I said, no, 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 because how they do, they come in and it's like a football game where there's two opponents coming into the room and they're constantly telling their story to the therapist, using the therapist or the marriage counselor as a third party to convey a message to their significant other. And here's what it looks like. Well, Johnny, I told him this and I told him that. And then the therapist sits there and say, Well, Johnny, did you hear what Susie said? Yeah, I heard what she said. But see, Sue ain't hearing what I'm saying. Here's what I'm saying. Sue, did you hear what Johnny said? You know what I'm talking about, brother? That's the common way, right?
Yes. Yeah.
In other words, they're just looking for a referee to
Mm,
agree with them.
mm,
This is not the right way. You're wasting your money because at the end of the day, you're probably going to walk out spending money and get no results.
right.
Here's what me and Nancy figured out. Let me tell you this story, how we got there. When we were living in Texas, we went to this particular restaurant. We drove past it many, many times. And when I speak to people about how we got there, this is the story I'll tell them because then
Hmm.
they get it. It's a light bulb moment. We kept driving past this little wing restaurant and it was always packed. And we said, one day we'll go in there. So one day we decided to go in. And keep in mind, Doc, what did I say was the key word? It was always what? Packed.
Packed. Yep.
Okay. This is very key.
Mm,
They bring us in, they sit us down, and then the waitress comes over and she begins to just hang out with us as if we were the only ones in there, even though the place was what?
packed.
Packed. Key. Because normally when you go to a restaurant that is hopping and is packed, they are hopping from your table quickly to the next, to the next, to the next to make sure they're making sure that
Mhm,
everybody's taken care of. Am I
mhm.
right?
Yes, you're right.
Okay, so watch this, Doc. She hanging out at our table like we're the only ones there. And so she just asking us questions, how y'all doing today? And just, just shooting the breeze with us, like she has nobody else to pay attention to. And
Mm,
then she said, so is this your first time here? And we said, yeah, this is our first time in here. And so, she began to say, well, here's the foods I like, and just shooting the breeze with us. At the end of that, she began to say, so what do you guys want to drink? And she took our drink order and walked away. And I looked at Nancy, I said, isn't this fascinating? Meanwhile, while she went to go get our drinks, another guy comes to our table and begins to just chop it up with us.
mm.
Hey, how are you guys doing? How's your day going? Remember, the key is the place is what?
Packed.
Packed. Okay, watch this. So this guy comes over, he gets to rapping with us and just talking, shooting the breeze, shooting the breeze. Hey man, it's so good to see you guys, and da 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 da. And then for a moment he walks away. The girl comes back, she brings our drink order, she takes our food order. Okay, all this is so key. This whole story is going to be key to fixing relationships. So then she takes our food order and then she goes away. This guy comes back and he's just talking with us again as if we're the only people in here, even though the place is what? Packed,
Packed.
right? Okay. So then as he's talking, let me step back. When he walked away the first time, I whispered to Nancy, I said, he's either the manager or the owner. She said, how do you know? I said, I can just tell the way he's moving. He's either the owner or the manager. So when he comes back, he gets to talking and so forth and so forth. So then another waitress walks up to him and says, hey, your wife is outside waiting for you. He said, oh, okay. Well, listen, tell her I'll be right there. And then he finished up his conversation with us and then he left. I looked at her and I told her, I said, didn't I tell you he was the manager or the owner? Now, moving the story forward. The waitress brings our food to the table. Nancy enjoyed her food. I didn't really like mine's, Doc. Okay, I
Mm,
didn't. But I didn't say nothing. She was such a kind lady. So then she can tell from my facial expression that I
mm,
wasn't feeling the food. She said, what's
mm.
wrong? I said, I'm not really feeling. She said, don't worry about it. What do you want? And she brought me another. Okay, well, let me go. And she brought the food. Now, to end this story with questions, I always ask this particular question to people. The place is hopping packed. Why? Why do you think it's packed?
Because they have something that everybody wants.
What is that?
I don't know what's on the menu, or probably the location, or probably the name of it.
See, that's the answer everybody gives. And that would be incorrect. The food was nothing special. The location was right in a center area where every other restaurant was piled right around it because it was by the mall.
It was a service, probably.
It was how we were being treated.
Mm,
It was customer service. Now, brother, let me share with you this. That ideology from that one experience, I began to understand what was wrong with relationships today.
mm,
And when couples want to talk about all their problems, I say, you got one main problem. You have poor customer service.
mm,
You feel me, brother?
mm. I heard you the other night, man. That's, customer service is big. I'm glad you're touching on it.
Yeah,
Hopefully, you guys are paying attention too, motivators.
Yeah, watch this. I'm going to take you deeper. Okay. I'm just got you on the shallow end. I'm going to take you deeper. Okay.
Yeah.
So watch this. In most couples' relationships, they're always talking about how they are not appreciated. Which, by the way, me and Nancy was invited to a marriage conference, and then they had a breakout session. And at that breakout session, they asked us to sit at a table to help facilitate a bunch of these couples. So that we had about 6 of them at our table, and we was allowing them talk and talk and talk. And God spoke to my ear, and He said, "Ask them this one question." And I asked him this one question. I said, "Each one of you guys who's sitting here at this table, let me ask you this." And this was husband and wives. I said, "How many of you guys sitting here feel underappreciated?" You want to know how many raised their hand?
Mm.
All of them.
Wow.
The husband and the wife. And that further solidified the fact in our relationships today, there is so much demand for what am I getting out of it? And nobody's really thinking, what am I actually contributing to it?
Mm.
And this concept changed Nancy and I. So then there was a simple Bible verse that fixed it for us. And it was so simple. It was right there in our face the whole time. Jesus said, "I came not to be served, but to serve and to give my life a ransom for many."
Right.
This is why that famous step that he did that everybody knows about, but nobody wants to do, where he did that foot washing for his disciples.
Right.
He served them. He
Mm.
said, "I didn't come here to be served. I come to serve you." And when Nancy and I adopted the idea of serving each other, and this is what I was telling you about the other day.
Mm.
This is where my Amazon experience come in. I didn't work at Amazon, but before people buy a purchase, they always go to what part first?
The reviews.
The reviews. And for me, Nancy is my number one customer. I need her to wake up and go to sleep at the end of the night giving me positive customer reviews. I want the top reviews she can give.
Mm.
I want to know that I served her so well that I earned the 5 or 10 stars, whatever it is on Amazon. She is my customer. I want my customer to be happy. And I began to serve my wife humbly. And here's the beauty of it. She began to do the same thing for me. And now when you wake up with 2 people who are just waking up, just trying to see how can I make your day great today, regardless of what happens in the world, regardless of what happens on the job, when you come around my presence, I'm here to make your day the best it can possibly be to the best of my ability.
Mm.
So then here's the question, Doc. When you got 2 people who's doing that, where are the issues?
Mm. No issues because you're serving each other and you understanding and communicating. So there's no issue
So why are we making relationships so tough?
because we're not serving.
Ah,
Mm.
we're getting somewhere.
Mm.
This is why I say when people go to counseling, they're typically wasting their money because what you're trying to do is still force your ideas and opinions on your significant other. And guess what? That means you're trying to share a message, you're not trying to hear one.
Mm. I love it.
Are you hearing me?
I'm hearing you.
I begin. Let me talk about listening in relationships. Never forget, and I say this. I try not to say it too often because to this day, it's been years, but it still brings tears to my eyes if I spend too much time on it. I'll never forget my beautiful best friend before we really caught on to what was going to be needed to make a relationship work. She was going through something, brother. And I'll still be in the knucklehead because I wasn't adopting this principle of serving my customer. And as men, we're fixers. So you tell us a problem, we're going to try to give you a suggestion. And if you don't take our suggestion, we'll be like, well, why you didn't tell me then?
Mm.
You don't want my opinion.
Right.
Have you heard that before? Where the
I
guy
have.
gets upset?
Yeah.
See? Traps. We're trapping ourselves into destruction.
Right.
Nancy told me one time, she said, you know what? Sometimes I hate telling you how I feel. And she walked away. Brother, to this very day, that was years ago, and to this very day, even as I speak it, I feel I'm on your show, so they ain't gonna be doing no, you know what I mean, no memes of me crying. But
Yeah.
brother, the tears are they're right behind my eyeballs.
Mm.
Because now looking back, man, that broke my heart. That was also a pivotal point of me understanding. The Bible says, be slow to speak and quick to listen. And in that situation, I was consistently giving answers before I really heard not the words coming out of her mouth as my customer. I wasn't hearing the words that was coming from her heart. She
Mm.
just wanted me to hear her heart. And I was hearing her words and then trying to quickly throw out an answer. And if she didn't take my answer, now I got an attitude. Well, why you keep telling me stuff if you don't want it fixed? Which is what men typically do. We making these mistakes. Women too.
Mm-hmm.
But when I began to say, this is my customer, I need to know everything that's wrong to the best of my ability. Let me see what I can do to fix it. Do
Right.
you know the simple solution was stop trying to fix it?
Mm.
She just wanted to be heard.
You talking?
Isn't it simple and amazing?
Yeah. You talking?
So it was so simple.
Mm.
And I tell you this, Doc, after all these years, she never had to tell me that ever again.
Cause
Ever.
you, cause you listened and paid attention.
She
Yeah.
never had to ever tell me that she hated telling me how she felt
Right.
ever again. You can tell me anything, baby. I am here.
Mm.
My customer rating that day was a 0,
Mm.
and I sucked. And instead of getting defensive, saying, well, we need to go to counseling. Do you hear that all the time? Instead of getting offended, you should be listening.
I get it.
And we don't. We don't listen, brother.
You guys are getting the top tier lesson right now, motivators. I pray that you guys are listening to this. This is hitting heavy on a Friday afternoon about relationships that we all need to listen up to. And I heard this man live, and I heard him, and it stopped me on my tracks because I don't talk about relationships. My platform is different. My rhetoric is different. But I'm always been the person that I never talk about something I never had. I don't never do. And that's what social media is about. Everybody has something to say about things they've never been involved in. This man said, hey, I've been through 2 decades of marriage. I failed at it, but I'm getting it right and I got it right. And this is the key. I need
Yeah.
you guys to listen. I need you guys to turn up. I'm gonna let
And
Patrick finish.
just so we're clear, I'm actually going on close to 40 years as a husband now, 40
Mm,
years experience. And I've spoken to thousands of couples all over the globe. In fact, Nancy and I, we used to run our own show years ago on Facebook, and we had 250,000 followers and tens, about 10,000 or some more people tuned into our live show or commenting after our Sunday show. So we help couples all over the globe. And unfortunately, our page got hacked, and well, just that broke my heart, and I hadn't done any of this in years since then. But you know, looking at what I'm seeing today, it's really breaking my heart. And I'm beginning to understand why God said, I hate divorce. It was not just about the divorce, it's the echo that it has, brother.
mm,
The kids don't want to get involved in a permanent relationship because they just saw what happened to their parents.
mm.
The people who gone through a divorce say, I'll never want to get married again. And then they go ahead and get married again with the same destructive paths. And now they're just reproducing destruction after destruction after destruction. There's barely anybody who can think of a relationship that is still original.
Can I tell you something? Being
Yeah.
around this world, and I'm just being vulnerable, seeing all relationships, and since I was a little boy to now, I can name on my hand how many successful relationships I have saw, probably on one hand, without divorce. Maybe there are issues, but you don't hear about them. I can count on my hand in 45. I'm 40. I'll be 45 in July, and I'm not. That's not a shot to anybody. It's just as a man, I don't see even motivators. You know how I get. So I want to be clear and concise. Even some of the men that are married that I do know, they're not married when they out. And I'm not taking no shot at anybody. It's just if you're teaching the student, and I'm a student and I'm watching, I don't want to get married because when you leave, you can't wait to leave the house. You can't wait to go get into some craziness. I'm not married. You married, but you out here doing all these crazy things, and it makes me not want to even get married because I didn't saw female and males in situations where they are married. They've been married for years, do things that's horrible. That I got PTSD, I got trauma, I got anxiety, I got TBI. That's another form because I don't want to wait. to get married, and when I do get married, I'm the laughing stock or somebody or and it was crazy. 'Cause I had a conversation with my homie because I called him on it, and he said, "JR, that'll be your karma." And I said, "My karma? I ain't out here doing no crazy stuff like this." But he said, "Everybody's doing it. This is what everybody do." Listen, I'm gonna tell you something right now, motivators. They might have to take me off the air if I get married and something happens to me or happens to my relationship and it's not my fault. It's with my wife and infidelity or adult. I can't do it, bro. I can't. And I'm just being upfront.
Mhm.
If a marriage is an oath under God, why we playing with it? And I speak about God heavy. Why we playing with it? And there's something else that struck me when I was listening to you talk, and we're gonna keep talking about it because now I can be vocal. I heard you say something that resonated with me last Saturday, where you spoke live on 80, the Alexander the Great, the greatest man, a good brother out there.
Yeah,
Spread
yes.
positivity. Shout out to him about divorce. That we divorce the person, we don't divorce the spirit or the soul or the energy. And that struck with me because me out here in this world and seeing all these situations and being in the military and all that, then you do date and you run into women that have been married two or three, four times. And it's like for me, it's like, why didn't it work? It's not always the man. It's not all the one. It's not always you. Why didn't it work? If you've been married two or three, four or five times, and you out here looking for a woman or a male that's never been married, but you've been. So I never understood that part. And you said it, you hit it on the head. I drove back from Orlando to Sarasota thinking about it. I'm like, he said it was the energy. He said it was the soul. Like you divorced a person. Can we talk about that? The two things
Yeah,
I just hit
let's
on.
yeah, let's talk about that. So, when you go through a divorce, what makes it so devastating is it's not just the fact that you divorced the person. You could have even wanted to divorce the person and you still feel sucky. Why? Because it was not just the divorcing of the person that you have to go through, but what will have you laid up in your room crying in the midnight hour after you done celebrate in front of your friends and all this kind of stuff. Well, yeah, that's fine to put on that show. But when you're alone, here's what causes so much devastation because you have to divorce the idea of what you thought was going to happen. And that lingers much longer than the person. This is why I said at the very beginning of this show that oftentimes, and I have dealt with thousands of them, what makes it more devastating for people going through a divorce is when a person dies for whatever reason, whether it was a tragic accident or whether it's through medical, whatever, either way it goes, that's a understanding we can comprehend. Okay. And we can resonate it. We still miss them, but we understand that in the back of our minds. But in divorce, it takes much longer to flush out the idea of what I thought we had, the idea of where I thought we was going to be. We said, till death do we part, and you still alive over there with somebody else, booed up with them. And I have to deal with you every time, especially if there's kids involved. Now I got to go visit you at your place with my kids looking at your new significant other. You ain't dead, but I have to go through the funeral every time I see you.
Wow, that sucks.
Are you hearing what I'm saying, brother?
I'm listening.
This is why God said, I hate divorce because it's so devastating to the human soul. The God loves us so much, he never wanted his children to go through this. This is why he had certain parameters around if you're going to get involved in relationships. Come and serve. I said this the other, oh, brother, let me say this real quick. I said it fun and loving in that audience, but I meant what I said. Typically, when you hear people talking about relationships today, you're constantly hearing, well, see, if the person is going to be with me, here's what they have to bring to the table. Here's this, here's that, here's this. Does that sound like you're starting off the way God originally wanted these relationships to be?
Brother, there's so much
No.
craziness out there that you
For an
hear.
example, let's go deep. You want to get a shovel? Let's pull the shovel out, bro. God created Eve for Adam. Okay. The Bible says that he created Eve because Adam needed watch this word, a help meet. The word help meet means a capable. partner. Don't forget this. Helpmeet means a capable partner. Doesn't mean she's weaker or stronger than him.
Mm,
It means she was supposed to be capable of helping him. Helping him with what?
mm,
Before she came on the scene, God had spoken to Adam and gave him some assignments and some work to do. But God knew he wasn't able to do it all alone. So therefore, he said, I'm going to create a helper for you to accomplish what? What I called you to do. So therefore, when they two work together, they should be both. Watch this. We say this in business, brother, but it fails in relationships. We always saying teamwork makes the
dream work.
dream work.
Yeah.
If teamwork makes the dream work at work, then why are we not implementing the same strategy at home?
Right.
Why are we not sitting down and just having conversations to say, okay, yeah, I get your feedback. I appreciate your feedback. I got your memo. Okay, that's cool. Can we sit down and have a meeting so we can figure out how to make this work? Because at the end of the day, our marriage is just like a business.
It is a
And we
business.
need this thing to function. Come on, isn't it?
It's a business. It's a
In
business.
fact, why did he create Eve? For business purposes.
Yes.
I
Yes.
gave you an assignment, Adam. You need help,
Yep.
a capable partner. So
Yep.
from the very beginning, marriage was supposed to be teamwork for an outside purpose. Watch what happened today. And you wonder why we got so many breakups and divorces.
Man, because they don't.
You hear all these people talking about, well, see, he need to have money, he need to do this, and he need to do this, he need to be able to pay my bills, he need to be able to step in, and if he can't step up to the, if he can't be a real man, and we hear this from the women, and then the guys, we don't say this, but in our hearts and in our heads, we say, okay, you know what, she ain't the one. We already know she's not the one, but we're gonna play with her. Why? Because she's cute. But
Mm,
we already know she's not a what?
right.
Capable partner.
Mm,
And so we got all these people flooding into the arena of relationships who are not qualified for it at all
mm,
because we're all trying to get something up. In fact, I did a message the other day on my, because I just started my Instagram channel and I call it covenant relationships versus contracts.
mm,
So here's the difference between a covenant and a contract. Here's why Nancy and I, we work so well. And most couples don't, just to be honest.
mm.
When you talk and hear people give advice about relationships, I'm listening for key indicators. In business, they call it KPIs. Doc, and I know you know business,
Yeah.
KPIs,
Yeah.
key performance indicators.
Yeah.
When people are talking about relationships, I'm listening to KPIs in the back of my head. I'm saying, okay,
Mm,
let me see if they got it. And the KPIs look like this. Are you talking about what the other person, well, they need to have this, and you listening out all their, as if it's, you're hiring for employment, which the truth is they are. Okay,
mm,
they are. You're hiring out a person. So in other words, okay, they need to be this, and this. Meanwhile, he ain't saying it to you, woman, but he's thinking she need to be, if she's going to be my capable partner, she needs to be boom, 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 boom. So now you have two people with checklists come into this arena called relationships, and neither one of them are prepared to give anything. They're all looking to see, what are you going to give to me?
mm,
And here's the deal. They meet each other, it works for a little while, and I told you, opposites attract. Okay, all this cute stuff, it was cute. But when the rubber meets the road and it's time for the business side of marriage, meaning we got things to do from day to day, then things stop falling apart. Why? Because you put on a good presentation, but when I need what I really need, guess what? This person is, oh, you know what? You ain't doing this for me. You ain't doing that for me. And we go back to the checklist. You ain't doing this for me. You ain't doing that for me. And we shaking our heads and we pointing fingers. And then we say, I'm going to the marriage council. We go to the marriage council and we cussing and fussing, still talking about, okay, you ain't doing this for me. Well, you ain't doing this for me. And we just take it to the counselor. And if we can't go that far, guess where we're going? We're going to divorce court. After divorce is over, we talk to our friends, family, and everybody hears about your business. Kids are ripped apart. And where is it still going? Still talking about what you didn't do, what this person didn't do. What is eliminated out of that conversation, neither one is talking about, you know what, but here's what I could have done better to give to you.
mm.
Am I right, Doc?
I love how you breaking it down and putting it in layman's terms that like motivators, you understand what we're saying. He's not only talking about the relationships, he's talking about how to fix it, and how to sustain it, and how to not get to that level because that's all we promote right now on social media is women against men and bad things and how to get away. If you never wanted to get married, why did you get married in the first place? At the end of the day, and you're right. marriage is a business, and I always thought it was a partnership. And I tell you what, some of my best friends that are females are partners in business, and at the end of the day, they make awesome wives because they understand. And a lot of people like different things, right? That's why it's a vending machine. You get what you want, or you get what's close to what you like. But at the end of the day, I believe, no, I don't believe, I know God has to be a part of that also business plan with your marriage, with your family, with your situation. Because when nobody has the answers, God will. And God is not in the business of sending you down roads where continually that you're going to know that you're going to be failure. No, He's going to show you once or twice, and then that's it. If you don't listen, hey, listen, that's it, man. Because I told you, I gave you the sign. That's not her. Why you chasing her? That's not her. That Instagram model. That's not her. That why you chasing him and her? And I'm happy that you put it like that because I can listen. And I'm a motivational speaker, and I speak on a lot of topics, but I don't speak about this. But definitely, I'm taking notes because I want to understand. Because one day, just like 80, I'm 45. I want to be a husband. I know I am a husband, but I know that I'm not going to sacrifice me giving me my best version to a person that's going to play with me. And at the end of the day, I'd rather be single and be happy alone than go be portraying on putting on a facade that I'm happy and know goddamn well I'm not happy at all. You know what I'm saying?
You know, brother, let me share this with you. For people like you and AD and others who are in business, trying to, entrepreneurship and whatsoever, this is what my concern is, because I don't care if you're a CEO of a large Fortune 500 company or just a startup, it doesn't matter. The one kryptonite that will destroy you is not understanding this ball game called relationships. And in my honest opinion, very few people truly understand the way God wanted it to be done in today's society. This is why in the old days, we can hear, grandparents, well, they would argue, fuss, and fight, but they would still stick it out and stay together because they understood we have a team that has to work for the greater good. Nowadays, it's every man and woman for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Let me say this. I don't want this to be lost in the conversation as well. This has to be said because there's something I want to say to those who actually in a relationship that may be going bad right now. How did me and Nancy turn it around? How did we do that? 13 years, first 3, 4 years, it was terrible, brother. It was horrible. We were two Christian people, loved the Lord, but when we couldn't solve our problems, brother, we in this big old house cussing each other out,
Mm.
sleeping in separate bedrooms, just going off, man, like we don't know who God is. It was horrible. I ain't gonna lie, brother. It was terrible. It
Mm.
was terrible. I'm so ashamed of how we were and my role in it. We just we just was at each other's throats. And like I said before, in the first couple of years, I was already divorced the first time. So now I ain't even tripping. I already got my bags packed in the back of my head already because I already know what this process is. I ain't tripping.
Wow.
See, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I
Mm.
wasn't completely sold out on this relationship. And there was a simple biblical principle. Simple, very simple. Watch this. This Bible verse, it says, with love and kindness have I drawn thee.
Mm.
Brother, this is deep. With love and kindness have I drawn thee. It is impossible for you to work out your relational issues if the environment is full of chaos,
Mm.
with no love and no kindness.
Mm.
So when couples talk about problems, here's one of my first homework assignments that I'm going to give you. I don't, and they was, when I was doing this heavy, when I was in Dallas, they want to talk to me about their issues. I said, I don't want to hear that crap. They said, what? You don't want to hear about the issues? I said, how many other counselors, family members, and everybody and their mom and they heard about your issues?
Mm.
I think you told enough people about your issues. I don't want to hear it. I said, do I look like I got a referee shirt on? I don't
Mm.
want to hear that crap. And they thought I was crazy. I said, here's what you need to do. See, because in order for you to work out issues, the environment cannot be hot. And you're coming in hot at each other. Let's cool the environment first. Let's fertilize. It's like you want to have tomatoes growing in your yard, but you ain't put down the right nutrients. You ain't watered. You ain't dug up the soil to make it soft and receivable for what you want produced. You just want to throw some seeds out, come tomorrow, and it's supposed to be tomatoes. No, you have to do the work behind it before you start even worrying about the growth. You're never going to grow. And the simple way, and it sounds complicated, but in truth, it was just as simple, brother. When was the last time you said, honey, you know what? I really appreciate you. I know we've been arguing a lot, but I never stop to just thank you for the things you are trying to do. Do you believe just that one statement would turn a lot of couples' relationships around today? If
Yes,
you want your relationship to turn around today, start issuing love and kindness to the person. And here's the problem with some of you, you've been going at this for so long until this simple statement that I'm giving you, logically, you understand it. But your emotional mind, you're like, nah, man, I ain't say, what am I going to say to him? See, that's the problem. It's been so long since your relational soil got water
mm,
until it's foreign to you to be nice and kind in that relationship. Although God Himself says, how did I draw you close to me out of
mm.
your chaos?
Right,
I did it through love and kindness.
right, right. I want to read
And
a
so,
comment real quick to you.
sure.
You had somebody that dropped a Amber. She dropped a gem. She said,
Hi, Amber.
he's dropping so many gems. Love hearing this message. So much resonated. I heard him before live in person, and I can listen to his message over and over and learn to do better. Shout out to Amber.
Thank you, Amber.
Yes, man. You right now you're touching a whole lot of people, and we appreciate it. And I want to get you on here and spotlight you because your message
Appreciate
is so powerful, especially for as men. We need to see men do better, right? And definitely, I can say what I saw Saturday night and who you are and you serving your wife right now, hands down, you are something that I would like to emulate as a husband. I love to
it.
see, like, because I see the example. I haven't saw too many good examples. Shout out to my father. My dad was divorced from my mother. She died when I was small of age, and then my dad got married again. He got married 3 times, but seeing men do it right and doing honestly, that gives me hope, right? As a young man, 45 years old, seeing it, seeing all these things go on out here in this situation, you are a beacon of light because sometimes, like you said, AD guys like us, I don't call myself an entrepreneur. I'm a motivational speaker.
Yes.
I go drop life into people and understand, but sometimes it gets lonely because you want that helpmate, but you're so scared of because you've been damaged so much. And it's not an excuse for men or for myself, but you've been damaged so much. And the first woman I know to love was my mother who didn't love us. So a lot of us are battling our mother wounds because we never saw the love or even got it. You know what I'm saying? And then
Yes.
after me started to journey into manhood, my daughter's mom. You know what I'm saying? I saw that went to a terrible position, and I was like, God, like, what is it? Like, then I started to develop resentment for women and females, and then deploying to Iraq back and forth, and I had girlfriends. They would cheat on me. They would leave me. They would make excuse why they couldn't stay around. At my worst moment in my life, where I needed them, they wouldn't show up, and I would come
Yes.
back, and I wouldn't be the same person. Especially as coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan, doing all that stuff, and seeing my friends die, and they would give up on me. And that I think a lot of us in that percentage of guys that are great, but finding like looking for that wife example as young men and successful men that's out here, you want to be very careful, right? And
Yes.
the population of men and women that's out here that's been married, like you can have couples, you can have relationships, but married, I feel like sometimes when you are dating and you date someone who has been married before, that spirit rolls over and they rush you to do situations where it's like, hey, sometimes you might wake up and feel like you are married. I've never been married, so I don't understand that feeling, but I know that I'm doing right. But I know that at a certain time, like you said, I'm serving, but I feel like that I'm like my words are not going nowhere because you've been tainted because of information you've been through or been hurt or
Yeah.
situations like that. And it's unfair for good women and good guys to be around people who don't understand or always reliving their scarred moments of their relationships and divorce and all that stuff. So what do you think about that? That's the last question I wanted to
Yeah,
ask you
no
when we
worries.
talk about
You
that.
know, that was the other
You helping
issue.
me out. You helping me out. So
Yeah, no worries. That was one of the other issues. And I said this on the show. Here's another big, oh my God, brother. I can go down the laundry list of all the things I'm hearing about relationships from people. And I don't say anything, but I'm like, oh my God, you're missing it. You're missing it. So here's the deal. I hear people all the time saying, well, before they get with me, they need to be healed. They need to get
mm,
healed. They need to, and that, to some degree, that's true. But what we discovered, Nancy and I, there are some wounds that you're going to have to live with for the rest of your life.
mm,
And so if I'm always going to wait until the moment where I feel 100% healed, then I'll never be in a relationship.
mm.
And here's what make it worse. The people who are demanding that other people, they need to be healed before they come with me. But the problem is when they get with you, they discover you ain't healed of all your junk. Remember, I told you, people are so demanding nowadays. Nobody's coming to say, I came not to be served, but to serve. Part of this, watch, oh my God, brother, I got to give you this. And this is for the church people, okay? Church people, they know this term. They call the Holy Spirit the paraclete. The paraclete means one who comes alongside you and works on your behalf. Doesn't that sound like the original statement Jesus that God said for Adam and Eve? Adam, you need help. Let me send you a paraclete. Let me send you a help. He didn't say be healed. You should be able to handle everything by yourself. And then when you can handle everything by yourself, I'm going to then send you a help me. No, he said I already knew you needed help. So let me send somebody who's capable, a capable partner. Let's not miss that, brother. What does that capable partner look like? Does it
Mm.
just mean that this person can help pay the bills? Does it just mean this person can help, raise the children? Contribute? No, 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 no. What me and Nancy discovered is that the way she was treated by her dad in childhood destroyed her perception of men. And the way I was spoken to by my mother. She was cool. Don't get me wrong, Mama. I love you. She passed away. I love you, but she ruled with an iron thumb,
Mm.
and so therefore I was very tolerant. And then I got married the first time to another woman who had a domineering spirit, and I didn't know the impact of that. So now I'm getting with Nancy, and I've just come out of divorce, and I'm like, I don't care about none of this no more. So now the new me is out. Ain't nobody gonna shut me up. And I'm gonna do me and and I got this spirit from all of that baggage. And meanwhile, she's coming to the table with all of the baggage from her relationship with her dad. And you can see how the two kids entered into this grown-up relationship, and we just wilding out on each other
Mm.
until we began to. I'll never forget, brother. Oh God, I've got to tell you this. I know we got to go, brother, but I got to tell you this. Well, we was going at it so bad, brother. It was ridiculous. And God told me one simple statement. He said into my spirit, "You're about to lose your best friend." That's
Mm.
all he said to me. He didn't say nothing else. He just said that. And what's miraculous about it, it appeared that he told her the same idea because when we were talking, she shared the same idea. So he ended up speaking one simple concept into her head. You're about to lose your best friend. So from there, here's what we did to fix it. We used to go to this little lake area, and they had a little Cold Stone ice cream right next to the lake. So we would go get this Cold Stone ice cream, and then we'd just sit by the water, and we literally would just begin to talk about how we grew up. Now, we've already been married for a while, but now we're just approaching it differently. And the first time we did this, brother, we began to open up and share. And it was, touch and go kind of conversation. And we went and did it again. The second time we did it, it was a little more emotion coming out, like something was bubbling up, but we was kind of reserved because I don't know if I can trust you with my feelings in my childhood because this is really important to me. That's sacred. I got to protect my heart. So, but now the second go round, from the first experience, it appeared you really were attentive. And so the second time we did it, and then we did it a third time. By the third and fourth time, brother, there were so many tears flowing from both our eyes. And you know what we learned from that experience, dear brother?
Mm.
How to treat each other very gently. And this is why that Bible verse, which is so beautiful, with love and kindness have I drawn thee. What it means is through love and kindness have I drawn you close to me. I'm going to be so loving and kind to you until you feel safe and want to be around me.
Mm,
Most relationships, they don't want to be around each other. How
mm.
long y'all listen? I told you. Nancy told me the other day. She said, "Babe, do you realize out of going on 13 years of marriage, we only been apart maybe 7 days?" I said, "What? Out of 13 years?" And that was because she had to go out of town for a family event that I couldn't go to. So that's about 4 of those 7 days.
Mm,
We're together all the time. I never get tired of her. She never gets tired of me. In fact,
mm,
before I did came on here, she opened the door and said, "Baby, let me pray with you real quick."
mm.
We're so gentle with each other. That's all we're doing. We're just taking a simple principle of love and kindness. Now, when you live with a person who wakes up to serve and they are very kind and gentle with you, how is it possible that I want to go somewhere else? She ain't got nothing to worry about.
I love that, man. I love the fact that you love your wife so much. That's just like I said, man. Motivators, it gives us hope, and the people that inspire to have a good marriage, a good business partner, a good spouse. Tap in with Patrick. This is what it is. Like, if you didn't talk to him, you would see that there is no, like, relationships make people sick. But hearing
Yes.
it from you and seeing it from you, and you don't have to open your mouth. I love the way it looks on you. It looks really good. It makes me happy, especially when you pull up in that bed. And like I saw it. I saw it live, motivators. I saw it personally. He literally caters to his wife, and his wife caters to him. It's a mutual respect. I love it. He talked, she talked. He let her talk, she let him talk. I was right there. I'm just listening, taking notes because I was able not to go pay for this information, but to see it live in person like a museum. And I appreciate you showing me the right examples because I haven't saw many in a few years. I
Let me
haven't.
say this. Let me say this quickly. Brother, to be honest with you, I can't tell you how much I appreciated that moment, that night. That night we were together. There was a woman who called, who said, "You know what? I had no idea." Nancy had pulled up. She was a few minutes late. She had pulled up around the building,
Right.
and when she got out, she was having a hard time strapping up her shoes. So I knelt down, doing my no. This is normal for me, and
Right.
I knelt down, helped her to strap up her shoes, and then I helped her out the car, and we went on upstairs. And the statement you're saying, brother, I had no idea that we were that different. And from that experience, this is why I told God, I said, "God, I know what message I need to share with the world. I
Mm.
need to share what are we doing? Because if there's any way I can help entrepreneurs, business people, anybody, churches, anybody, which means almost all society who's struggling in relationship, if I can just simply share the simple principles of what me and Nancy are actually doing, then I can help change the world in my own unique way.
I love it. I love it. And we
So
saw it.
thank you for having me here.
No, no, I appreciate you. And I did this for a reason. I don't usually, no, I don't. Y'all know me, motivators. I don't bring nobody on my channel that I'm not inspired by. I was definitely inspired by you Saturday night, watching you in action, talk, cater to your wife. She catered to you. I saw the people's reactions. I saw the world needed to see that just like me. I needed to see some more, so I brought them back on the motivators table. I appreciate you so much, brother. Like you have
So
done so much in this last hour for me, and I appreciate you. And you're a friend now, so I'm gonna always hit you up to figure out, you know what I'm saying? Just pour into me. And right now, this is before I pour into you. I want you to leave the world with your social medias, how they can find you, and let's get you back into this coaching space because the world needs this. I know people right now that need this right here, coaching right here. Because at the end of the day, when you divorce a person, you got to make sure you divorce the idea. If y'all didn't
yes,
catch it, the idea, because you can go and just like he says, that's sick. Like you divorce me 6 months later, you with somebody else, like you've been with them for 20 years. And the idea is, I hope she gonna come back. I hope he comes back. When you see the drop the kid, that hurts. I was never married, but I remember breaking up with my son's mom and my daughter's mom, and had to see them and see them in relationships. And I'm not saying I was jealous. It was just different. It hurt because I went away, came back, and it was never the same. So seeing this on the motivators table, we appreciate you. So drop your social media, drop how they can find you, and let's get you back in that coaching seat. Go
Yes,
ahead.
sir. So right now, I just started back on Instagram. Just put into work the conflicts of life. Just one word, the conflicts of life, and one word, and you'll find me.
I love it. And then leave me with something from your heart, a motivational tip or quote that you can leave our viewers with.
If you want your relationship to actually work and you want to be successful, because I'm telling you, I don't care who you are, where you are in business, in the business world, and I've spoke to many people in the business world and so forth. Once your relationship fall apart, you can't even function at work.
Man,
Everything about your world is going to crash.
yeah.
So let me just tell you, why don't we just start with the way the inventor of relationships said to do so? Start with going back and saying, you know what? Here's the two takeaways from that I can take and implement right now tonight, not tomorrow, tonight. I have to go through a checklist. I know I've been demanding, I know I've been saying that there's shortcoming in this relationship, but the truth is, how well have I been serving them and their needs? And then number two, have I been loving and kind? Because
Mm,
if loving and kindness drew me to God, then why am I not a loving and kind person to this person who really is maybe in turmoil?
mm,
I'm so busy seeing what I want until I fail to see what they need.
mm. Love it. You dropped that, and I appreciate you. And this is the time right
Thank
now
you.
that we pour into you. So do me a favor,
Thank
hold your hand up with a cup, pour the cup out. Now we're going to pour into an empty cup. I want to tell you right now on air, Patrick, we are so proud of you. We
you,
need you
sir.
back in the fight. You're front line. You have the information. You have the tactics. The people need you. I know people right now I can pick up the phone that need you right now because a lot of people that are struggling in their relationships and marriages and all these things, they forgot the basis. It looks good to get married. It looks good to pay all that money to have a wedding. It looks good to even have somebody at your home that you call husband or wife. But if you're not happy in your business, look what we have. We have statistics going up all over. But look what it's doing. It's showing people that other people that marriages don't work. I saw as a child. You know what I'm saying? I saw with relationships. I saw with friends and going with them and just taking notes. I'm not a hater. I'm not dropping no names. I saw relationships that on paper it look good. You go in their house, it's thumbs up. We go outside the house and we do other things. It's not that, and people are promoting it. And I call it you harboring a fugitive. And I had a guy that was around me that said,
Yeah.
he said he was a mentor. He was like, hey, I don't want nobody around me that is talking to the guys that's infidelity or committing adultery, but you're harboring these people. You're making excuses for the ones that are doing this. You don't know this person or this other person is in pain. Y'all promoting violence. You promote negativity. You're promoting all these situations. I remember when I was a soldier, going out with my friends, didn't know that they were struggling. Come back, drop him off. I get a call 3 o'clock in the morning, domestic violence. He cut up because she had enough. She stabbed him. I didn't even know it was problems in their household. I thought they was a good marriage. So I see all that. And I see that at my age right now, and I'm looking at all these relationships that people are this, that, and the third. First of all, people are putting out false rhetoric and false negative information
Yes.
because they're talking about things that they've never been involved. This man said he was married for 2 decades and came back and had a good and having a good business, a good marriage, and him and his wife, keyword, they serve each other. Brother, I'm so proud of you. I love you. This
Thank you, my
impacted
brother.
me. I let it go an hour. I usually it's just 45 minutes at the table. Everybody's tuned in. Thank you. We need you. Let's keep going. I'm blessed that AD introduced us together. Um,
Yes.
I love the fact how you broke it down. Let's continue to do this. You are great. You are special. Do not stop what you're doing. Continue to put your foot on these necks. Continue to spread that positivity and show us what it looks like to be a good husband. Because I know God wants me to be a husband one day, and I'm looking at you and I'm taking notes and I'm saying, God, when it's my turn, I'm gonna turn up because this is what it looks like, and I love that you showed me, and I appreciate you. And hey, motivators, this is why we bring these people to the table to get motivated. So when they leave here, they run through that door. But guess what? It's the other way around today. I can't wait to go to the gym and hit some weight because he told me some good stuff right here. I appreciate you so much. Thank you, man. Thank you for just being genuine, man. And I appreciate you. Hey, motivators, let's mount up. Boom.